Hi, welcome back to the Ideas Portal. Today is quite a special one. If you don't know who I am, I'm Melissa Mostert, and I am Training Portal's course production and development manager. I'm very passionate about making learning content more engaging, faster to produce, easier to adapt for the different types of learners we have here in South Africa. And I must say, AI has been a huge game changer. I am a huge fan of AI, and it's quite special because joining me today is Ida, who is our head of marketing and business development. Ida helps steer Training Portal's marketing strategy, blending data-driven creativity with different AI tools for efficiency to design and craft effective campaigns on social media, as well as helping to build nationwide awareness to make sure that we reach all those right audiences. Ida, do you want
Thank you so much for that introduction, and we're very excited to show you all the ways we use AI at Training Portal. It is adapting really quickly, and there are new tools all the time. So in the second part of this discussion, we'll love to also hear what tools you guys are using.
Like Ida said, today we are focusing quite a lot on AI and the different tools that we make use of here at Training Portal, but we do want to hear what you make use of. I must say, I'm personally going to focus quite a lot on ChatGPT because that's the AI tool I make use of on a daily. I feel it can supercharge both our content creation and our learner connection strategies. So I'm actually going to walk you through some real cases or real uses that I make use of. I'm going to give some tips on how I make use of it, and I'm going to show you how to even apply this to like your own work if you are also creating any sort of online lesson. So I'm just going to dive right in. Feel free to, if you have any questions, if you want to add anything, feel free to interrupt me. I don't mind being interrupted. We do have someone monitoring the chat, so if you have any questions, type it in the chat. And yeah, so I'm going to be honest, when it comes to building online learning content, it honestly can feel like pulling teeth. And this is from someone who came from an education background. I was a teacher before working with Training Portal. Honestly, it can have its own challenges. I mean, often we are dealing with very unclear SME or subject matter experts' notes. It is on an endless formatting task when it comes to some materials, and we always work with very tight deadlines. Now, whether you are creating a full, robust curriculum or even a 30-minute e-learning module, like with our rapid learning courses, very rarely is content creation for an online lesson straightforward, and it will always take time. I think my team can speak for days on all the issues we can sometimes come across when it comes to materials. So a tool like AI and ChatGPT is just going to make the whole process so much easier. Now, often we will be caught between two very big extremes. And sometimes we get too much raw information, and raw information will be like the information that needs to be processed into a learning outcome. And this is usually what we receive from our subject matter experts. And I mean, we love our subject matter experts, but you need to remember these are people who specialize in these topics, and they won't always explain content in a way for everyone to understand. And usually it will take weeks for us to transform that content into something that is actually usable. And that brings forth our second extreme, which is our very tight timeframes when it comes to developing these courses. Often I will be told I have a week to get a course done, and I mean, we get it done. But when it comes to things like online course creation, tight timeframes also indicate how much we can do. So if I have a week to do a course, often I can't do as much on a course as what I'd like to if I had a month to develop. Now, yeah, so often little time to transform information into content that learners can actually want to engage with. This means adding things like your assessments and quizzes, any forum topics, SCORMs, H5P activities, which is like fancy activities that learners make use of. Any interactive videos, or even last minute revisions and quality checks of the work. All of this is a very long and complex development cycle when it comes to course creation. And honestly, the reality is our learners need the content to be clear and concise and structured and relevant. And our teams need the tools that streamline and scale and that whole development process. Now, this is where AI and like I said, particularly ChatGPT steps in for us. It's not here to replace me. Okay, let's first say AI is not taking my job. It's not taking my team's job, because there's always going to be the need for that human element when it comes to course creation. It's merely meant to support us. It is a tool and it is not the solution itself. Just like any tool, it only works when it is correctly guided by us. So I'm going to touch on that a little bit in a moment, but I'm going to first demonstrate, the value of a tool like this. So I'm going to dive into how ChatGPT is changing the game when it comes to instructional design. Now, this is whether you are working with SAQA aligned content, even the new QCTO content, or even developing like those rapid courses for your workplace for micro learning. It's all going to help learning designers like us convert that rough material into structured learning experiences. Okay, so this is just an example of what the raw material would look like that we would get from our material providers. This is what is created by our SMEs. And if you look at it, it is pages and pages of just content. Sometimes it is very difficult to understand, and we can't expect learning designers to become subject matter experts in absolutely everything. This subject is something I have zero idea about, which is how to operate and support a food safety and quality management system. So it is not a topic I am familiar with, which means I can't just come up with random information, which is where ChatGPT comes in. I am going to use this document, and I am going to instead use it in ChatGPT and have it create a clear lesson title, learning outcomes, introductions and summaries, activities and discussion prompts, just to get an idea of where to begin when it comes to this. So let's go back to GPT. So you can see I put that same document here in ChatGPT, and I am going to now prompt it. Now keep in mind, prompts are the magic words. You can't just come up with nothing. So, and don't forget to always say please and thank you to our AI. Please develop, please excuse my spelling today, an online course that I'm using the attached. It must include. Okay, so I want a lesson title. I need learning outcomes and a summary. Okay, let's start with that and see what it does. So it automatically will figure out, and it will look at your current document. Now, our learner guides always include things like, our learning outcomes. So it is going to use those and just simplify it for each one. And you can see it's already dividing it into lessons for me to put into Moodle. And all of this has to be checked by us. You need to, as a learning designer, it is your job to go and ensure that it still meets the learning outcomes of any accredited qualification. It does not replace what we are doing. Now you can see it's already going to start based on that learner's guide. It will also start asking you, what it can do to make it better. It'll say, can we start developing quizzes? Do you want SCORM packages? Anything like that. So for the sake of this, I want a South African-based scenario aligned to the content. Make it a branching quiz. There we go. So based on that, it's going to create what we call branching quizzes, which are essentially, it's a type of Moodle quiz that has an objective. A learner will then make choices, and based on their choices, it'll take them to different aspects. Now, this is just one of the many things that we use AI for. Now, personally, like I said, I don't have a background in food safety, and that is often the case when it comes to learning designers, especially in South Africa, because we do not always have immediate access to SMEs. And what ChatGPT does is it will go and look at what information is currently available online on these sorts of topics. Now, as I said, and this is key, the output is not going to be final. It still needs our review. I need to check for alignment, for relevance, and check that it meets those learning outcomes, which is where the whole learner designer role becomes irreplaceable. Now, even if I'm not a subject matter expert, I know how to structure information when it comes to online courses. AI doesn't. It's not like I can take that all those online words and just automatically input it into Moodle and whoops, there we've got a course. I have to go and I know the settings. I know how to use Moodle. I know what is needed for our learners. I know what visuals are needed. So even though we aren't subject matter experts, we have the role of a subject matter expert through AI. Now, AI might help us move faster, but it's still human-led. That means I still need to put in those prompts. And the quality of learning will always depend on our judgment and our insights and our instructional strategies. Now, second, when you're working with SME input like voice notes or bullet lists, you can prompt ChatGPT to rewrite it into a learner-friendly format. So a lot of the material that we get, like that learner guide that I showed you, it's not always learner friendly. So you just have to prompt it. The content is not learner friendly. We want to make it simpler. And this can go for absolutely anything. You can make it simpler. You can make it more complex. You can almost summarize it into an easier topic, anything like that. Now, with this content, like you saw with the branching activity that I'm using now, you can also do things like multiple choice questions through AI. If you can't, as an instructional designer, think of a forum discussion topic, it can help prompt you with topics. It can give you scripts for videos for if you need to record video content for different topics, anything like that. It produces material that is nearly plug and play into Moodle, which basically means you've got less time that you need to copy and paste and format, and you can spend more time refining the experience of the learning journey for the learners. Now, it's also important that ChatGPT can also localize your content, which is important because a lot of the material we receive is actually based on international principles. So you can localize it to a South African format, whether it is our learner level, our language level, the region in South Africa. It helps adapt and simplify the content with a single prompt. Now, I use this workflow to produce more content faster without having to sacrifice the quality of our content. But again, the success depends on us. It does not depend on ChatGPT only. AI is merely there to support us. We still drive that whole learning journey. You still have things like your teachers who are teaching or facilitators who are teaching the content, our assessors who are checking the content and checking for relevance, and our tutors who are helping with that, the post teaching of everything. AI can't do that. AI has not got the emotional intelligence to do that at this point. Now, as I said, this is just an example of what I would use AI for, a very simplified version of it. You can ask AI to create a whole storyboard based on a learning outcome, and it will. This tool, what I find most important about something like this, although I use it for my job and for creating online courses, if, for example, you are wanting to learn more about a topic by yourself without having to go and do hours and hours and hours of research, you can actually ask AI to create a learning or a structured learning program for you based on whatever topic. If you want to learn Korean, then you can say, I want to learn a new language every day. Can you develop a new lesson for me to help learn the basics? And that's what AI can do. So yeah, that's actually where, because I don't want to go too overboard, my apologies, Ida. So I'm actually going over to Ida at the moment. If you do have any questions about how I create more structured learning and the end result when it comes to things like this, to using AI and what it would look like at the end after we've inputted everything in Moodle, then please make sure you to let us know that this is something you are interested in. And who knows, maybe I can do a whole session where it's just me talking about the tools that we use. But now Ida's going to move on to how she takes what I have created, the online courses, and how she markets it using effective campaigns and everything like that.
Awesome.
Ida? Over to you.
Thank you so much, Melissa. Yeah, that is so cool. I'm so excited to share with you guys how we in are using AI. This is across from a strategy and analytical side to more of a creative side. We're going to touch on all of that. As starting with something more admin related, I should be replacing what is tedious and allowing us to use more of our human creativity and innovations. I don't believe it should replace humans. It should only help us to focus on the stuff that makes us human even more. So one of these examples are going into monday.com. So this is a demo board. So see it as an Excel sheet. If you're not familiar with monday.com, it's like an Excel sheet project management type system. And the amazing thing is sometimes you have a lot of tasks and there's files, there's updates of a client saying something and all of that. So it can become a bit overwhelming. So if you want to have a bit of an overview, you can use AI-powered tools in Monday. They have expanded their offering a lot and they keep expanding. But for the purpose of this exercise, first you can see all the stuff you can do here. Translate, summarize, assign labels, assign people. With the assign people, it can also look at their capacity. So that's super cool. But for this one, I'm just going to use a custom AI prompt. I'm just going to grab it from my notes here. So just to save some time, I have copy and pasting the prompt, but you can, we're also going to post on YouTube if you want to just slow this down and see exactly what the prompt is. So I'm asking it to give me an overview of the client sentiment and the client changes, looking at the updates as well as the documents uploaded. This would be something that you would need to go into each file and read it, and that can be very time consuming. So with this help, it really helps a lot. So now it's starting to populate those fields. So here you can see positive feedback, critical issue with a testimonial slider, and it continues. As you wait for it, it will fill in all of the rest of them as well. But just that already in time saving. We've used it before with if we have a job application and there's a lot of CVs. So if you want to look at a specific thing, do they have this qualification? This type of AI column is also very helpful and saves a lot of time. Now moving on to more video editing type of things. So we do these sessions and we also do podcasts and training sessions. So that means a lot of video content. And I'm not talking about little 1-minute video content. It can be anything from half an hour to 2 hours. And if you've ever edited a video before, you know that it is very time consuming. So to show you how we save time using AI, we use Riverside and AutoCut. I'm just waiting for it to load. So here is one of our ideas portal sessions like this one. So here we can see everything that we can do with AI on Riverside. We can, by click of a button, remove all the pauses, remove all the filler words. This is like the ums and ahs. Find fluff. So it recommends parts to cut out, and then you can review as it seems to be an internal conversation. Okay, cool, apply. That is really cool. So this saves us so much time, and these tools keep improving for us to even do more. So magic audio is now a new thing, smart layouts, and you can even export small videos from this video. It selects parts that it thinks would do well on social media. But as Melissa said, it's always essential for you to review it. It can pull out stuff that's maybe not priority, or you need to give your own input there, but it saves a lot of time. Then next is creating video from prompts. The latest Google updates have made this even more insane by even including audio. So if we look at this, I'm just going to play I created this. This is the prompt I used. So the longer the prompt, the better it usually is, but it still needs to be clear. This is just to show also on the topic of AI. This video is about how you should not use AI alone, because that's not how you transfer skills. If you create something via AI and say your manager asks you a question about it, you should be able to answer that question. It's important to not rely on AI. So this video was created by AI communicating that message. So it's just a little example of what is possible, and you can put any prompt here. You can also make it from, they say frame, but it's basically a picture. So say I want that person to look a little bit like me. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to look like me, but it might have similar features that I have. So it just helps to create like a reference point. Next, I wanted to show you some extra things that ChatGPT has also brought in. So now it can actually connect with multiple apps that you might be using, such as Canva, Gmail, Google Calendar, Outlook, as well SharePoint. So I did some testing of this. It's really amazing. So say you click SharePoint and emails and you say, gather all the information about this project that I have in my emails. And this just ensures that you don't miss anything. Maybe you missed an email, and that's really valuable. One caveat, though, is that it does take a very long time to load. So I would not suggest using it to say, please find the email that this person sent me. It's still better to just search on your own. But to get like an overview and dive deep into things, this is really, really cool. Then we've got Canva. Canva is always pioneering with AI tools. And this year it was no exception. So they have a lot of Magic Studio tools. So one, for example, is to change the background of an image. Usually you remove the background and insert a new background, and now you can just give it a prompt. So what's cool about this as well is usually when you have to manually do this, you also need to take in consideration lighting and shadows, and this already takes that in consideration for you. As you can see, it's very sleek. I would not say this is AI, you know, it looks really good and it's very easy to use. So this is not the only tool, there's a lot of other ones, but yeah, you guys can explore in your own time. Canva is a free tool. It's got pro features, but a lot of these Magic Studio tools are also free. So it's a very nice, accessible tool. Another cool thing that Canva has introduced is Canva Code. If you have heard about, what do you call it, vibe coding. So it is coding with prompts. So it is still in a very infancy phase, not just on Canva, but in general, vibe coding. And one thing to take in consideration is you can't create something that needs a database, but it's still cool for learning. So this was just one I created for, say, we're doing an onboarding with a employee at Training Portal. Take into consideration this is only with one prompt, and usually after you prompt something, it's good to fine tune it, so there will still be mistakes. This is also just to show you that you can't rely completely on it. You need to find and make sure everything works on your own, but it still saves a lot of time in comparison if you would have done this from scratch. So look how cute this is. This from a very detailed, but still just from a prompt. And it looks very techy. No, it looks awesome. And then even when you're done with all those, you're saying you're doing that and then initiate portal launch. Wow. So you can see there's a lot of potential in this for not only for marketing reasons, but also for engaging lessons and educational type content. Yes. Then let me show you the last thing is this. Gamma. Gamma is a easy, quick way to create slideshows. Once again, I would not recommend this for a very important stakeholder meeting, but it's fun for and easy if you have unexpected quick meeting and you just want some slides to guide you, maybe something more internal or relaxed meeting where if there's a mistake in the presentation, you won't be in trouble. But I'm just going to use my notes for this meeting and copy and paste it into Gamma. Then you can click what type of, I use it only for presentations, but I can also do all the other stuff. So then it takes continue. So now you can choose your style. Let's go for this one. So I just copy and pasted my notes, my meeting notes, and now it's doing the presentation for me, even with nice designs. It will also put in pictures where it feels it works. So let's see here, it's adding pictures. And then from here on, it's not set in stone, so you are able to edit it. A lot of AI tools don't allow that, which I find annoying. It's awesome that you can edit it and you can edit it further with AI as well, change the style. And as you can see, the images match what you're talking about. but you can also go in and change the images. It just really saves a lot of time, especially for those internal meetings where you just want something visual to add to the meeting. And then lastly, I just want to just touch on agentic AI. It is a bit more what do you call it? Technical, but it is a real a real thing we need to chat about if we're chatting about AI. Agentic AI is when you have an AI agent that's controlling multiple other AI tools. For example, taking all the tools we discussed today, for example, and programming an AI to use those tools independently with some human feedback loops. That is something that's still very primitive and has some ethical concerns as well. But I do believe it's worth mentioning, as I think this is the one thing that's really going to change over the next year still. And yeah, exciting times, scary times. But yeah, as long as we can use it to our benefit and always consider the ethics and not just do things that save time without considering the ethics. Yes, so that is from my side how we use AI in marketing. There are some other tools I left out like Meta and Google Ads, but we can discuss that in another session. And yeah, I hope you've found it useful.
I definitely did. There's quite a few tools there that I think would be very helpful for course creation and development. So yeah, to wrap things up with just the discussion portion of this before we go into like the where you guys can talk to us and ask us questions. Now, we've seen how AI tools like ChatGPT and Gamma can accelerate the development of different e-learning tools as well as marketing tools, from raw, often intimidating content into structured, engaging lessons that can be used inside Moodle or even any other platform. As well as seeing how we can make use of these sorts of tools to almost simplify things like video editing and help make more personalized images and ads for our companies. Now, but honestly, here's the truth. Like we've been emphasizing, AI is a tool. It is not a teacher. It is not a marketer. It needs us. It enhances our work, but it doesn't replace our thinking, doesn't replace our creativity and empathy that different learning designers and SMEs and marketers bring to the table. But yeah, I think if I have to give a few top tips when it comes to using AI, number one, start small. Don't start with a big project just for the sake of doing it. Start small. Use AI to, for example, build a lesson outline or a quiz, or to remove a background from an image that helps fit the style and theme of your marketing material. Always save and reuse good prompts. I think I have a whole list of prompts that I make use of. Use these as templates. It's always valuable to go back and reuse them, edit them as needed. And then number three, something that we in my department and Ida's department, we have meetings with our departments together all the time because they are so interlinked. Keep your teams involved in the whole process. This includes SMEs, it includes designers, it includes marketers, because that human element is what makes the content, whether it is marketing content, whether it is learning content, it helps make it resonate with different audiences. You cannot lose that. So yeah, I think if you are ready, everybody, then I think we can start, chatting. Let's see how you guys are using AI. Let's discuss, how we can almost enhance the way you are using AI to make your jobs easier.
Yes, awesome. I see there's a question from Orbit. How do we deal with academic dishonesty in this era? Any tools?
Yeah, that's always going to be a problem. I think as we go, when it comes to things like AI, learners are always going to want to take the easy route. And I mean, I know it's horrible to say, but we can't always fault them. They are also just trying to make use of this tool that we have. So there are tools, there are AI plagiarism tools that help scan for a lot of those. For example, like with Moodle, we make use of plugins to try and find it. It is not foolproof. It will not find it all the time, but it will, analyze the content and almost help find where someone is using AI. But a good thing that I have noticed that a lot of teachers and lecturers are making use of when it comes to finding things like plagiarism in things like assessments is to almost embrace it. Tell the learner, like, a good example that we were using in classes or schools that I've noticed, teachers have been telling learners, here's a prompt, use AI, write a story, and then go and fix it. Find what AI did wrong and almost fix it that way. That is forcing the learner to still use their creativity, to use their critical thinking, and forcing them to almost analyze AI, because a lot of people don't know how to analyze AI. These days, you can't find issues with AI if you don't look for it. Ida, do you want to add something there?
Yes, no, definitely. The transferable skills, the keyword transferable. You need to make sure that what you are, the output you're giving from ChatGPT, that you at least and agree with it. There's a lot of times where I chat with ChatGPT. I think a lot of us chat with ChatGPT on the daily these days. And a lot of times I find it saying something, sorry for the lack of better word, but something stupid. Then you need to tell it, no, you need to consider this and that, and you're not taking this into account. So it is not, it should not be relied on, and we humans still have a lot extra to give. It's a tool.
I suspect, that in all likelihood, the entire educational system will have to change over time because of AI. It will necessitate that. I firmly believe that, I think it will necessitate the change where the educational system will have to embrace AI and incorporate AI in learning strategies. You cannot for very long, which I think at this stage, the strategy of educational institutions is to kind of ban AI and ban telephones and things like that. I think that will not be able to carry on for much longer. The interesting thing is that I heard from somebody in my building. They are a big tech company, and obviously just imagine if they conduct interviews with developers and stuff like that, the people will literally, during the interview and even in the preparation documents, they will use AI and all of the technology in that moment to help them. So they decided, well, they rather in trying to ban AI, they're going to tell the people, listen, here's the interview notes, here's maybe an assignment that you need to prep for the interview. Please use AI to its fullest and use different AI models, whatever you want, and analyze. I think it's very similar to what you guys said, and basically crit the different AI responses and things like that. So you're going to have to think outside of the box to get that human element going. I think, the days are numbered for us saying, listen, in education, let's just ban AI.
We can't do that. AI is unfortunately now part of our everyday routine. You cannot go on social media without AI. It helps dictate your algorithms. It helps you see what content you enjoy. All of that is run by things like AI. So saying we're just going to ban AI, we're going to make sure that we stop it, you can't stop it. People will always find ways to go about using the easy method, and I mean, we can't fault them on that. In learning, if someone learns best by using AI and writing a prompt in AI and it gives them a response, okay, that's great. But then encourage them to critique it, find issues with what they're doing. I've seen people who are like software developers and companies that are software that are looking for software developers. Like Ida showed, you can type in a prompt and it can create a whole site for you. That's great. But then have that part of the interview process. Have them prompt the AI and then see what they would fix and adjust using that code. Because a lot of companies are using that to replace their developers, and it is causing issues because it's not foolproof. So teaching individuals how to critique it rather than and like almost adjust it to their needs rather than simply using it as is, I think is the way that we're going to have to go.
Yeah, I think I just thought while you guys were chatting, which I think is amazing going forward, the opportunities for learners. When I grew up, obviously I studied in paper, and a lot of myself and a lot of my colleagues at school and university spend a lot of time developing notes. I think the big obviously there's a thing of summarizing the content, but I think notes, especially if you work from different sources, your notes were kind of, I think, something that you try to rewrite the materials or to restructure the materials in such a way that it suited your understanding or suited your preference and learning style. And that took ages to kind of, to put notes together. And I just thought to myself, it's such a fantastic opportunity because we all learn, we've got our own learning preferences and the way we ideally want the material structured. In essence, these days, I think young people today using AI can literally at the click of a button put all of the raw information in there and say, listen, and give you the prompt and say, this is how I would like my notes to be done, so you can almost create notes or an entire learning program. You can almost tell AI, listen, develop like an online learning platform for me that suits my learning style. So it's a very exciting time, I think, for youth to have AI at their disposal.
I think so too. And I mean, even like one of the things we've also noticed, you can't just say a learner can't do it. You have to train facilitators as well to give feedback when it comes to things like AI use. Encourage educators and assessors to look at how AI is being used by learners, not just the final product, and give feedback like, that's a great use of the AI prompt. Maybe try doing this to get a better result. Use it as a teaching tool as well. I think that's quite important.
Tess says Melissa has a valid point on encouraging educators, but also in the realms of the type of learners and how their learning styles need to be taken into account.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the reasons AI is so important, is because it does take that into account. If for example, a learner learns best with things like videos, AI can help find videos that are catered towards a certain topic as well. And educators need to be able to use tools like this to help them. I know I was speaking to an educator recently who said a learner was struggling with English, and she knew where they were struggling but didn't know where to begin when it came to helping her. She didn't know what resources to use. So she went to AI, she listed the learner's problems that she had noticed, and AI created a detailed intervention plan to help get that learner on track. And within a term, using that plan, that learner went up by 25%. So these are the types of things that AI is good for. It didn't replace the teacher. She just used that guideline and that plan. Teaching an individual how to use the tool effectively, I think, is the only way the education system is going to be able to embrace it.
And the thing is, you can notice when someone used maybe a very short prompt just to get the answer and copy and paste it. You can see it because it is a large language model. It follows language patterns. So if all the learners will use take from an assignment, copy and paste the question and just copy and paste the answer they get from AI, it will be noticeable. It is about using AI, but not copy and pasting. You need to put in your own value to.
Absolutely. Anyone else have anything else that they'd like to share? Your experiences when it comes to AI, whether it is in education or marketing? We've got a few more minutes left. Let's hear from you guys.
I just want to add to what you guys were saying earlier with AI changing the education system for the future and everything. If you look through history, how the classroom looks and how it worked and everything, for like the last 100 years or something, maybe more, the classroom hasn't changed. Everyone sits in a row facing the teacher at the front, but everything else around us has changed. Cars don't look the same anymore. Computers don't look the same. Everything has changed except the education system. And I think AI is definitely going to change the education system. There's no going around it. I think it's inevitable at this point. It's finding a way to work with it, I think, is what our future is. Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to add that. It's not like super, anyway. Yeah.
Awesome. No, but that's a good point. Like you said, we still, to this day, classrooms use the same outlook. You've got kids sitting, whether it's in groups or rows, anything like that, and a teacher still stands in front of a classroom teaching. That's how education still is today. The point of AI, although we said it's not a tool that's meant to enhance, if we can use AI to make the classroom environment better for learners, whether that is using gamified lessons like the one Ida showed using, I think it was Gamma, where she created the website almost, that will make learning fun again. And that is the way that teachers should be teaching, because that's how learners learn. You don't learn simply by sitting in a classroom reading a book. Some people do, but very rarely. Tend to learn content much faster when it is engaging. It engages their creativity and their critical thinking skills. And I think that is what AI needs to be utilized as we move forward.
Another thing is, I recently heard people saying, no, AI is going to replace teachers. That is a thing I don't agree with. And the awesome thing about AI is it will only give teachers more time to do the stuff that actually makes the huge difference. For example, setting up tests and marking is maybe not making a huge difference on the child, and it's something that can be, you use AI to make it much faster. But helping someone with a learning disability or helping someone explain a difficult concept, that's something that the teacher now has more time to do because they're not burdened by admin and marking and setting up tests. So yes, no, I think it will only empower teachers to do even better.
But if you guys do have questions, you feel free to reach out to us, let us know if there's something you want us to even go more in detail with, if you want to see, the end result of creating a lesson through AI, what it would look like on Moodle. If you want to see more from Ida's point of view, how her different tools in marketing go from conception all the way up until, posting on social media and then getting analytics from that and how AI can be used, then please reach out, let us know. We are happy to do more sessions like this. We want to learn more from you guys. We want you guys to learn from us. I feel that's the only way we're going to get information like this out there and have people, start that conversation and start discussing in a way that is fruitful for different types of people. Yeah.
Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
So thank you guys, and then we'll see you guys again in the next training portal or ideas portal session. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys.